Dimakatso, looking at the fact that at 34, I did check your age on your bio. At 34, you already accomplished so much in the industry, which is quite commendable. Congratulations. What's the next step? Where are you headed? Are you gonna go into business, or what are your plans?
Thank you. Ooh, that's an interesting question. Funny enough, when I was doing an interview looking for an executive's assistant, the person who got the job asked me that question. The runner-up said to me, CIOs are the next CEOs. I'm like, But for me, it's not about, I know it's going to sound cliche, right? For me, it's a personal thing. I like helping people. That's my personality, right? So when I fell in love with technology, I was like, how can I help people using technology? So I used to consult before, and I think after COVID, when it hit and all of those things, then that's when I started, joining the formal work industry. But if I had a magic wand, what I would do is to really execute the blueprint that has always been in my head, right? You will see maybe, for example, the NDPP planning that their infrastructure rollout for example, internet access and whatever, maybe it will be completed by 2030, right? And then you look at maybe areas that they're targeting. So I often say that, if I can just maybe get funds and target a certain, a real deep rural area, whereby I can show that it's possible, because sometimes we talk, but are we really reaching the corners that we need to reach, right? When I go home, I'm from Denelton, Groblersdal side. If it's in December, we are all there. The network becomes so crowded that sometimes you miss your calls, right? But if you go now, if it's not December time, it's not peak time, we can all access. So now that is also some sort of disparity when it comes to technological access and how you are disadvantaging other people. So I would pick one really remote area, whereby because platforms and applications, you need good infrastructure. Yes. Pilot it from there and have it, run for 6 months just to show it is possible. And then hopefully from there, we can expand from there. Because I feel like sometimes we do one and leave the other, because you can have a great platform, but now if it's deployed or located in the wrong area, it won't be successful. So those are some of the, so maybe that can be shown as maybe moving into business. But for me, it's about really helping people. So which ties in with the NYDA and the digital transformation that we went through when I joined, to say, why do we need our young people to come to our offices, Let's digitalize all our programs so that last 10 rand that you have, instead of taking a taxi to a branch, you can buy data and apply online, right? So those are the changes that I try to implement. And how I can serve our people through technology. And it's also fulfilling to, even though I know youth unemployment is so high, but knowing that I've helped maybe 2% of the people, it's Biki McNeil. Yeah.
Thank you, Dimakatso. You clearly have a heart for people. My last question is, when you look at your role as a CIO in the public sector versus private sector, where do you see the gaps? In my previous role, I was a CIO at a company that was doing work for government, and we faced a lot of challenges. And I think there's a perception out there that anytime you work with government, there's going to be people that don't want to do their work, people that are slow. There's all these misconceptions. So what's your take? Having been in the public sector as a CIO, leading such initiatives, what's your opinion on that?
Okay, thank you. I would say that, you always create your own space and your work environment. Yes, some certain things, even when I joined the public sector, I was shocked, because the perception we had from the private sector is that people in public sector, they are lazy, not that they don't want to do their work, they don't know what to do, right? So that was the perception, right? So I come here, I get shocked. I'm like, these people are even audited more than the private sector. There's tooth combs, there's audit and audit and audit, right? So now you get to think that you get to see that some of the elements, some of them, one, it's poor strategy. Some of them, it's poor leadership. And then some of them is just the red tape in terms of processes and all of that, right? Like, I'll give you a simple thing. I remember when I joined, I think the website did not have an SSL certificate, right? It took me maybe 3 months to buy that thing. I couldn't understand because now follow SCM processes, do 1, 2, 3, right? So now is that thing of saying, okay, how can I partner with business or with supply chain to ensure that, we can work on 1, 2, 3, swiftly? Because, the RFQ process would say, if they didn't respond, we must try again. Until now, that particular element. Because also, if we don't do that, as government people, you'll accuse us of working with our friends, right? So it's how you then navigate those waters. I think when I joined my team, literally, IT was just the middleman. They were just doing support, so it would mean that we were outsourcing a lot of services. So the strategy that I then deployed was to in-source services that we can. Like, for example, we built our own open source system, which has like 35 modules. So what it does is that literally we can track all business processes from young people applying for programs to when they get paid. So now CEO is able to log in and see the bottleneck, right? Because the policy will say, for example, your voucher must be processed within 3 months, right? So now if it took a year, internal audit, even AG, when they come, they are able to see and hold them accountable. Obviously, you can imagine the change resistance that we faced as IT, not only internally in the IT team, but also among, in the business. So internally, of course, I had to expand the ICT structure to ensure, okay, I have engineers in-house, right? So that every little thing that we have to do, we don't have to go on RFQ. Because now going on RFQ, as I said, it might take some time. It's a process. So it will be you as a leader to say, how do I navigate the waters? And then also, how do I lead my team? Because you can imagine in changing that particular element to say, you are accountable, you will be building your own things. It shifts things. You can't blame the service provider anymore. You can't blame the consultant. And then also making sure that the team that is there does not feel exposed and does not feel like the new people are here to replace us and take our job. You make them useful and you repurpose their role, and then you train them so that the transition can be smooth. Because you can imagine with such a change, resistance can start from where the project is supposed to be leading from in-house. So those are the things that I did to say that, we need to be able to hold. So right now, if we go on an RFQ, it's not because we don't have the skills, it's because it's a matter of time. You'll evaluate the project and say, with the resources that I have, I will not be able maybe to do it with 6 months because we have so much to do. So when we get a service provider, it's a matter of saying, I literally tell them, no, just build to that particular module, we will deploy. We will test on the QA and deploy. So gone are the days whereby, a service provider will come into my environment and just run it. Yeah. Because I'm like, no, even from a governance perspective, I'm like, it's very risky. So those are the things that I did myself in order to bridge that particular gap. And the work has shown because, even other state entities, they would call my CEO to come and want a reference. Recently, we're helping DECO with their cadet program. We developed a module for them that will help them with the assessment of all those young people. And then it was a success as well. So, which, also gave my team some sense of joy to say, it's not only working internally, we are also able to, help our counter government departments, yes.
Awesome. All right. Dimakatso, thank you so much for such a very insightful. Our perception now is different. And we now have a reference. Now when we go out there, we now have a reference. And I think what I loved about what you said is, as much as NYDA is focused on youth, you're actually helping the seniors, your DECO it's a bigger department, I'm sure. Yet they're using your blueprint, your method to actually implement what they're doing. So Dimakatso, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for your talk and the great encouragement you gave the ladies today. We hope to have you in the next one.